Welcome to Top Advisor Marketing, where you will learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your practice. Brought to you by Top Advisor Podcasting, a done-for-you podcasting solution built just for trusted advisors. And now, your co-hosts of Top Advisor Marketing, Kirk Lowe and Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of our mini-series with Bill Cates. Now, the last podcast was what I refer to and what many people refer to as a driveway moment. The average commute in the United States is 26 minutes. We went a little over that 26 minutes on the last one, but it was so much good information that I know that you were just sitting there with your headphones on, or you're on the treadmill, or maybe you ran a little longer than you normally do, or you were gardening and you were probably, scribbling notes in the dirt because of everything that Bill said. I thought it was magnificently enlightening. If you didn't listen to it, I kind of played a moderately difficult client at the end when we were kind of role-playing some stuff. So you definitely want to hear how Bill handled that. But today is the final episode. This is episode 3, which is how to secure solid introductions, turn connections into appointments. All right, Bill, floor is yours, brother. Where are we going with this?
Well, I do need a nap, so I'll be doing this from the floor. Well, we ended the episode 2 with me making kind of an odd statement for the referral coach, where I said referrals are worthless because these days we need to get connected. We need to get introduced. And so, I think it's pretty obvious why we need to get introduced, but just to make sure, it's hard as heck to reach people these days, right? And when it comes to financial stuff, we know that one of our biggest obstacles, biggest objections, if you will, in the prospecting effort is inertia. People are just stuck doing what they're doing. They're moving in a certain direction and don't want to change where they're moving, even if it's the wrong direction for them, or they're doing nothing or whatever. And so, there's Sir Isaac Newton in the first law of motion says a body in motion tends to stay in motion, a body at rest tends to remain at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. Well, guess what? We need to be that outside force. In a gentle way, of course. And so being introduced from someone they already trust is usually enough to get us on their radar. Now, there's more to it than that, but that's a starting point for why this is so important. So to create a great introduction, we want to learn as much as we can about this new prospect. And there's 2 types of research we can do about a new prospect. We can do the cold research, which is going to their LinkedIn profile, their bio on their website, Googling their name, see if they have a Facebook page and all of that. And that's good. I advocate that. I do it a lot. You can pick up some things. But then there's the warm research. And this is the stuff that you can only get from someone who knows that person, which in this case is your source of the introduction. And, in the last episode, I said that you don't want to be assumptive when it comes to asking for introductions, asking for referrals, because not everyone's comfortable with it. But once you have someone who's identified someone, now you do want to be assumptive about the actual introduction. Matt, I'm glad you think that I might be a resource for your sister and brother-in-law. Let's talk about how you introduce me to them. Let's make sure we do it in a way that feels comfortable and at least piques their interest in hearing from me. So in the United States, when the Food and Drug Administration is approving a drug for the market, it's looking, is this drug safe? Is this drug effective? Safe and effective. I was in a session once, man. The guy, I quizzed the audience. I said, what's the FDA looking for? And the guy said, poisonous and profitable. But anyway, I digress. So this is what we want for our introductions. We want them to feel safe for everybody and be effective, meaning at least pique that person's interest, right? So that's what we're going for. So let's talk about how he introduced me to George. My guess is he'd like to hear from you before he hears from me. Don't you think? Yeah. Let's talk about what that looks like. Here's what I found works really well. And you can kind of ask for what you want. Now, what are some things you want to know from warm research? Well, I'll give you a couple of great items. What's going on in his life that's important to him right now? Or what's going on in her life that's really, on the forefront of her radar? Or what's going on in their life if it's a couple that's super important to them right now? And whatever their answer is, because that money intersects all aspects of one's life, if you can make this introduction and your follow through about that one or two things that are predominant in their life right now, and you can show them that you may have some things that impact that in a positive way, guess what? You're more relevant. You're going to capture their attention a lot better than if it's just some generic way of reaching out to people. So what's going on in their life, his life, or life that's important to them right now? Another great one to ask is, tell me something you like or admire, or tell me something you really respect about Barbara. And they'll tell you stuff. Sometimes you find things you have in common. Sometimes you learn things fun. I could go to you, Matt, your friend George said you have one of the best business minds he's ever encountered. And I just want to know, is he a reliable resource for that opinion? It's like, you can have fun with this. I can praise you, whatever. What's going on in their life that's important to them right now? And what do you like or admire? So among the other things you want to know about maybe age and family and location, get some of this stuff. And this will help you have a better introduction. How do you want to be introduced? Do you want to be introduced by email? Do you want to be introduced in person? I think it's safe to say that an in-person introduction is probably the best, especially if it's in a social setting, whether they bring someone to a client appreciation event we can talk about in a minute, or whether over a round of golf, or have lunch or dinner, break bread together. And if that's something they normally do, then it's usually pretty easy to organize. You have to be aware, though, of course, that the logistics can get in the way if you're trying to do an in-person introduction. But they work very well. And, usually if it's a social situation, you're not talking business, you're just getting introduced. I found that an email introduction, I call it an electronic handshake, is a great way to get introduced. And here's the distinction. A typical email introduction goes like this. Matt, I've been working with my financial advisor, Laura Smith. She's been doing a great job for me. I've CC'd her on this email. I'm sure she'll follow up with you. I recommend you talk to her. Well, that's not too bad. That's okay. I recommend, that's always good. But what if it was this? Matt, I want you to meet Laura Smith. Laura's worked with me for the last, 6 months. She has opened my eyes to things that I just didn't even realize were possible with my finances. You and I are in similar situations. I think you'll find a lot of value. Laura, Matt, and I have known each other forever. We go back to grade school, I hope you guys connect soon. I think some good things will happen. That's an email electronic handshake. And that I found is more effective than the more traditional email. So whatever you want, just ask for what you want. Say, here's what I found works the best. Here's what I found works very well. And put it out there. And then you may have to massage it. They're going to have to do something that feels right to them. But that's a little bit on the choice of introduction.
Hearing you say that, and I don't know why I didn't ask you this on the first podcast, but something through that description just really planted something in my brain. Are there people who are not referable?
Oh, yeah. I talk to them all the time. I have Matt, I have a phone call with someone tomorrow who my assistant has warned me against. He says, this guy's she said he's looking for coaching. He's about the most negative person I've ever met. Good luck. And so, yeah, there are people. I had a guy come up to me one time and after a seminar, and he says, Bill, this is great stuff, blah, blah, blah. I've been in business for 20 years. I've probably gotten, 10, 12 unsolicited referrals over that time. I don't know what's going on. And, I thought my clients loved me. And I had to catch a flight, so I didn't have time for the therapy that would ensue as to, he wasn't as referable. When people say, when they get on the phone, I'm doing a coaching thing, right? Or we're exploring to see if it makes sense. They'll say, well, my clients love me. They just love us, but I'm just not getting any introductions. I'm not getting not even any unsolicited, so I'm thinking, let's go back to this. My clients love me because, maybe they don't, or maybe he's just working with a bunch of electrical engineers who wouldn't do this to save their life. What we know, by the way, is that a client that comes into a financial practice through a referral, an introduction, is 2.5 times more likely to create introductions. And so over time, as you do this more and more and bring more people in through introductions versus leads versus seminars versus other methodologies, you're actually going to create a critical mass of people who are more inclined to do this in the first place. And it just gets easier and easier over time. That's why you have some folks that have never been afraid of this. They get tremendous amount of unsolicited referrals. They used to ask a lot. They don't have to anymore because that's the culture they've built.
All right. Well, thank you for allowing me to ask you that question. That was, and I don't know why it took me 3 episodes in to figure that out. But
It's your show, Matt. You can ask any question you want, bud.
well, okay. So my question for you now is, where else do we go here? Where
Right.
do we go with securing solid introduction?
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to talk a little bit about what they think they need to say to grab that person's attention. What do you think you need to say to George to at least, pique his interest in talking to me? It could be, we talked about the value discussion in the last couple of episodes where people are acknowledging the value they found in what you did for them. The couple of things that you found valuable that you expressed a minute ago, you think he would also appreciate that? Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Let's make sure we include that, right? Or what's going on in his life that's important to him? Well, he's turning 60. He's really starting to think heavy about retirement. I just know that's on the forefront of his awareness. And great. Why don't we make the introduction about that? Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. So some of your clients and centers of influence, by the way, you can see attorneys, accountants, et cetera, they know the buttons to push. They know exactly what's going on and then they have a good high trust relationship. And so usually you get a pretty strong introduction because they know what to say. You'll have other clients that aren't sure what to say. Well, I don't know. What should I say? Or you'll have one that says, well, I'm just going to tell them if they need more life insurance, they should talk to you. Oh, no, please don't say that. Right? That's the dreaded life insurance introduction. In which case, I found that less can be more. So let me tell you about one of my coaching clients. Al Fox and I have been working together for 10 years. Now, Al has almost $1 billion under management. I think he just went over the 900 million mark. So obviously, he's been very successful in this business, all through referrals. A long time ago, I showed him how you can do this without feeling needy, without feeling pushy, all that, right? And making about the value that he wants to spread to other people. And he taught me this. When he's with a client about making an introduction, and that client isn't quite sure what to say, it's just obviously not going to be a smooth, fluid situation. He says, look, could you tell him this? Could you tell him that I've done some good work for you, that taking my call would be worth 10 minutes of his time? Could you say something? Oh, yeah, I can say that. All right, good. That'll work. And that's what he does. And this guy's done very well with that. So the key, of course, in all of this is working with your referral source to know that the introduction is important, right? We're not done yet. We've got to get connected. Otherwise, we're really kind of spinning our wheels. And so the more time, energy, not a lot of time, but the energy and the care and concern you put into crafting this introduction will demonstrate the importance to your referral source. They will see that. And so they're more likely to follow through on it and actually make it happen.
People love to feel special, right? They love to feel like you're going that extra mile. And so many advisors do that just inherently or intrinsically or just part of who they are as a human being. And I love that you want them to show that off just a little bit more, or at least make it overt enough for that the referee to say, oh my God, man, Bill's really, he's doing his due diligence. This is exactly, wow, look at the language that he chose. I love that. That's absolutely fantastic.
That people see that you care about knowing this person. You care about approaching them properly, that it's comfortable for everybody. Why? Because you're on a mission to help people make the right decision around this, because the work you do is important. It's got to come from that.
Now, the next 2 questions that I have for you, one of them is going to seem like I'm a total gotcha journalist guy. And then the second one is going to be a little bit less. But this one is, we deal with this all the time. So I'm really looking for advice here more than, so I'm asking for free advice for our company personally. But what if the client wants to talk to their friend, or if they want you to refer them to an existing client before they will provide you with a referral?
All right, let me make sure I understand the question. So the first one, maybe we'll take it in 2 segments.
It's 2, yeah. That is 2. Thank you for that.
Well, I'm not that smart. I'm
I was just rolling there for a minute.
You were.
The first one is
they want to talk to this person first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do with that, I don't consider that an objection, but it's a condition. and it's and it may be backed by a concern, right? So if someone says, well, I want to talk to them first, absolutely, I'm happy to have you do that. It sounds like you want to be careful on how we do this. It sounds like you want to make sure they're okay with you making an introduction to me. Is that what I'm hearing? Oh yeah, I definitely want to make sure, she thinks it's okay. Well, I get it. I am curious, has it gone wrong for you in the past? Have you had a bad experience around this sort of thing? No, not really. I don't know. I just feel that's the way I'd like to do it. I go, I get it. That's fine. I'm curious. What do you think you need to say to her to, maybe at least pique her interest in hearing from me? And gosh, how do you think she'll react to this? Because I found there are some ways to talk about what I do that work better than others. So if you don't mind, I would love to, talk to you about that a little bit. Well, okay. So it's a condition. All right. I wanted to ferret out to see if there's some bad experience going on here, some real fear going on. In other words, when someone says, I want to talk to someone else first thing is, it sounds like you want to be careful. I get that. Have you had a bad experience? Because sometimes the I want to talk to them first is really them saying, I'm not comfortable with this. It may be, it may not be. It may be an objection. It may be a condition, but we don't know. So I'm not going to just say, well, okay, they just don't feel comfortable. I'll let them go. Okay, talk to them first. Fine. Let me know what they say. No, that's not being, staying with it a little bit. That's not treating the work you do as important. But I want to explore a little bit. And this is, by the way, this is how we handle any objection, concern, condition that a referral source may place on this conversation is we want to validate and explore. We want to understand what they mean by what they just said, because they could be trying to back out quickly. They could have a very specific situation they're concerned about. And we don't know what to do until we ask a little further. So we just ask. It could be as simple as tell me more about that. And then they'll tell you more. So what was the second one?
Well, so you just made me rethink how I wanted to ask the second one by saying what you just said there. So with your mastery of the language surrounding all of this, if you're in a closing situation or you're close to that, and somebody says they want you to make an introduction to an existing client,
to a reference
before they make, so, and I was just kind of lumping that into an introduction, just to see if how transferable some of that language might be. I'm not trying to totally get off topic here, but
no, it's great because a reference is a cousin of referral. I mean, and we should all have some references, some people willing to be references. Whenever I have someone who's trying to sell me something, and I say, for this kind of decision, I really would like to talk to a few folks who are working with you and have had some success in this process. And they say to me, oh, we don't like to bother our clients. Our clients are very busy, and that I'm running in the other direction. Because if you do good work, you will have advocates. You will have people that love to be references. You don't want to abuse them, right? You want to nurture them. You want to have a lot of them so you can, if you get asked this a lot, you have a number of people you can use. Some people won't even call the references. They just want to know you're willing to furnish them. So yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes. Now, so I consider that not necessarily an objection. That's more of a condition. And I would say, yeah, I absolutely have some folks that are be more than willing to take an email from you, even schedule a call if that's what you need. Tell me a little more about that. I'm just curious about what are the kinds of things you might be asking, looking for. You don't have to tell me. I'm just curious. And so I try to find out what's going on. That's all. But the bottom line is I'll give them some references.
Your natural curiosity really comes out in this, Bill. And I want our listeners to understand that there is a genuineness of wanting to know about this. And if you can tap into that for yourself, I believe, and I think Bill does too, that the reaction that you're going to get from all of what we've talked about in these 3 episodes is going to be much more well received when you just seem a lot more genuine. Now, here's my next, I'm going to stump you question. And of course, I'm not going to stump you, dude, but I'm trying.
Give it your best shot, Matt. Come on. I will. Come on, bring it on.
What happens when you have followed Bill Cates' steps but it keeps stalling. Like it gets to a specific point with one of your people who you just know could refer you to the greatest people in the world, provide you with amazing introductions. How do you handle that? I mean, without, again, because the last episode was with not being pushy, right?
Mhm.
So how, I don't get it. What do you do?
So just to make sure I'm clear on the question, it's maybe someone who loves you. You've asked a few times. They've maybe given lip service to it, but it never really goes anywhere. I mean, that's a question I get a lot with from coaching clients. And you're right. You stumped me. I have no answer for that. No, I'm kidding. What we need to do is we need to be honest and try to have an honest, transparent conversation and give them permission to not do it and give them permission to tell us to never ask again. And so it'll go a little something like this. Matt, I want to broach a subject. I brought this up a couple of times before, and you kind of seemed okay with it, but it didn't really go anywhere. And I just want to make sure that I know where to go with this in the past. We've talked a little bit about you introducing me to some folks. There's some interest, but like I said, it doesn't really go anywhere. Are you open to doing this? Is it okay if I ask? Is it okay if I make a few suggestions from time to time of someone you might be willing to introduce me to? Or are you really just not comfortable with this and wish I didn't ever ask again? And again, the better the relationship, the more fun you can have with this. So you're just being soft and maybe be having a little fun with this. And here's what I've noticed. This is the same thing, by the way, same basic kind of conversation you have with an accountant who you sent a bunch of referrals to and they haven't sent anything back. It's the same principle. Listen to this. So it's, George, I've sent a few folks your way over the last several months. And by the way, I'm getting great feedback. You're making me look good when I send people to you, and I appreciate that. I noticed you haven't sent anybody back to me yet, and that's okay. I'm just wondering, am I not yet referable in your eyes? Is there more you need to know about what I do? Are you just not generally comfortable with making introductions? Can we chat about that a little bit? Right? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. And sometimes when we give people a couple of choices, someone says, I don't like to give referrals. That's fine. I know some people don't. I'm curious. Have you had a bad experience? Are you just kind of a private person? Just don't want to go there? Tell me what's up for you. When you give people a couple of choices, you're totally validating their perspective. And because you've heard it before, it's not uncommon. It's okay. But you want to understand it. That's all. So you know how to go from there. And you're just trying to understand so you know what to do appropriately. So just by, not getting thrown off, just by trying to understand where they're coming from, you're not going to hammer someone to change their mind, but you're going to learn a little bit in the process.
Yeah. I love your line of questioning there. Is that something that people have access to? How do they gain access to some of these scripts?
Mm-hmm.
Help us with that if you don't mind.
Well, sure. I mean, it comes with, we have a couple different levels of coaching programs. We have an online learning system where all the scripts are packed into that. I've got a couple reports, several reports when I'm working with folks. We have a new part of our site, actually, that's referralcoach.com/resources. Referralcoach.com/resources. And on that resources page are a couple examples of some of the scripting that we do. When I work with advisors on how they talk about their value proposition, a lot of scripting gets worked there, and it's customized because it's got to be different for everybody. And then they have to make it their own. It has to be real. So yeah, we have a lot of resources for that. Some of it's free. Some of it is part of a bigger program.
But oh my God, people, I want you guys to think about this. I mean, how much money is this worth to you? I can't even imagine paying, anything less than, $10,000, $20,000 for me to have the language that is tailored and customized to me so that I can go back to people who already love me and trust me and provide me with more introductions to people that they love and trust and want me to help. That to me is just astronomical.
Well, the good news, Matt, it doesn't cost that much.
Okay.
So,
Then you're not charging
yeah,
enough.
I mean, what do you, maybe, how much do you make in one new client?
Yeah.
It's kind of a no brainer, but we'll let them decide.
Yeah. All right. So before you go, one of my mentors
Mhm.
always used to give one client appreciation gifts and also client appreciation events. And in fact, he is a $1 billion producer now because of this. How these you can't come unless you bring a referral situation. Help me understand how you can use client appreciation events appropriately in your mind, in your experience, to really maximize and deepen relationships with existing clients and also hopefully have them bring people to introduce to you.
Right. So the word we have to remove from that vocabulary is hopefully. And I've delineated three types of events. There's probably more, but at least three. So the one is the client appreciation event, where the purpose of the event is to say thank you, is to appreciate, it's to build a business friendship, it's to enjoy each other's company. Generally speaking, we want these events, all these events, to be on the smaller side because we want to create connection. The mistake that many people make is they say, hey, we're putting on this event, this wine tasting, whatever. Feel free to bring a guest. Or do you have anybody you'd like to bring along? Oh, yeah, I'll bring my brother. And the person they bring either isn't interested or qualified, or they don't bring anyone at all. So the next event is the special invitation event. This is an event where the purpose of the event is for introductions. Now, I feel like some advisors do this and they get away with it. To me, it feels a little tacky. So really, I guess tacky is in the eye of the beholder. You know, Matt, the price of admission is you bringing a guest, right? If you bring a guest that is interested in at least knowing who we are, then you get in too. I personally would never do that, but hey, who am I to judge? Um, but this is more like, Matt, we like to do events. We like to say thank you. We've also found that a lot of people like to meet us in a more of a social setting. It's one of the best ways for us to meet new folks, where there's no business, there's no pressure. No, we just get to know each other. And so we have an event that's designed for that coming up. And I wanted to let you know about it and give you the date. And I want you to think about an individual or a couple that you think should be aware of what we do, would enjoy meeting us in in this wine, cheese, and chocolate tasting thing we're doing, or whatever the event is. And we'll send an invite, and then we'll see if there's. So we're being purposeful, right? The purpose of this event. If you want people to come to your event, don't just throw out invitations in the mail. Call them. And if you want them to bring a guest, because this is an introduction event, a special invitation event, then call them and then mail them something and then call them again. The final event, real quick, is the celebration event. The celebration event is a subset of the appreciation event, but you have a guest of honor or a couple of honor. Could be a retirement, could be an anniversary, could be a birthday. I've seen so many advisors do so well with these types of things where they cement the client's loyalty forever. And they also, people there at the events are people like them. And so Joe DeSena is an advisor out of Long Island. He also is opening an office in Boca Raton, and he does retirement events. And, he's got this group and he's bought dinner for everybody. And Bob, the retiree, gets up and puts his arm around Joe and says, everybody, I just want you to know that I wouldn't be retiring right now if it wasn't for Joe DeSena. Not only has been a great advisor, as you can see from this evening's event, he's also been a great friend. And that's when it starts. Psst, Joe, you got a card? My advisor, cheapskate, never do anything like this. I'd love to have a look at our situation, right? And so this is the kind of thing that creates advocates. And it's a great setting to meet someone, especially more well-heeled people, where the first meeting is not bring all your statements. It's not fill out this hefty fact finder before you come in. It's let's get to know each other a little bit first as humans. And then they're more willing to do that. And you're at a higher level of trust.
Well, Bill, I want to thank you so much for all of your wisdom and all of your thought leadership when it comes to all of the stuff surrounding referrals and introductions. This is probably, if not the most powerful marketing thing that you could ever do as a professional, not just an advisor. But I do want you to take another moment just to kind of wrap things up today to tell everybody about some of the resources that you have. Just remind everybody about the websites. And if they want to contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. I got 4 links for you. Ready? Get ready to write, unless you're driving, in which case, listen to it later. multiplyourbestclients.com, multiplyourbestclients.com. That's an e-guide we have that'll help you multiply your best clients. Coaching is Coach Cates, C-A-T-E-S, CoachCates.com, 3 different tiers, easy entry. My main website is referralcoach.com. And that if you're in a position to recommend a speaker, workshop leader, or hire someone yourself, I love getting out there and working in person with folks and doing a little travel and seeing the world. And my latest demo is at billcatesspeaking.com, billcatesspeaking.com. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And we'll make sure that we have those links in the show notes. Once again, if you did not listen to all 3 episodes of this miniseries, make sure you go back. And in fact, what I would highly recommend that you do is you favorite these 3 episodes, which you can do on many, many different players, and make sure that you have these handy. This is not a one and done listen, everybody. You should go back and listen to these over and over again to hear the specifics, because every time you listen to this, you're going to pick up something unique and different. Well, I love doing these miniseries. If you know anybody who should do a miniseries with us, who is the caliber of Bill Cates, or somebody who has just an unbelievable process that we could break down into multiple episodes, please make sure you just email me at matt@topadvisor.m, because we love doing these, and we are hearing from you that you love these too. People just love to binge listen podcasts, and especially when we've got a great topic with a great speaker and great information. Those are the 3 golden nuggets that we always try to provide with these podcasts. So for everybody, with Bill Cates, make sure, by the way, if you have not seen him speak, or if you have the opportunity to help get him on your speaking agenda for a conference that you're working on, he is a remarkable speaker. And in fact, he's actually a certified speaker, which doesn't happen very often, which means that he's gone through some extra training. So make sure that you bring on somebody who you know is a known commodity, and somebody who's going to give you not only a great information, but a great show. And for everybody at Top Advisor Marketing, if you have not had a chance to look at our micro-influencer program, please make sure you go to topadvisormarketing.com and check out our micro-influencer program, because it's totally in line with everything that Bill had to say today. So we'll see you all on the other side of the mic very soon.
Are you ready to change the way you communicate with your clients? Are you tired of being the best kept secret in your area? Learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your business. Contact us today and see what the power of podcasting can do for your business. Click on the Contact Us link on our website at topadvisormarketing.com and set up a call to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updates and information.
This was brought to you by Iris.xyz, a platform helping financial professionals become better in business and life through new media and new voices. Visit them and learn more at iris.xyz.